Welcome to 5% Radio, where it's all about learning like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow. Please be sure to share and subscribe. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 5% Radio podcast. Today's episode number 26, I want to talk about the concept that I'm going to, title the Escalator of Success, but this is really kind of a continuation, if you will, of the previous episode number 25, which is Leave It in the Bucket. So it's going to be a different train of thought, a slightly different angle, but I want to cover some of the same content in a different way, because one of the things that communicators do well, if they are a good communicator, and that's always something that I'm aspiring to grow in, is communication, whether it's one-on-one to a group over a medium such as this, or over the medium of writing. Basically, any form of communication I'm always looking to grow in, because as a side note, you're always going to have to deal with people. You're always going to have to deal with expressing ideas, having conflicts, everything else. So it's a very important skill to develop. So total sidebar. But anyway, that being said, expressing the same idea in multiple different ways will usually help someone understand that idea better. And therefore, it is worth explaining this in a secondary or even third way, using different examples, different analogies to make sure that, okay, I have that light bulb moment. Now I understand that you said it that way, that you used that word picture, that you explained it this specific. Now I get what you mean. So a couple of quotes to get us started by Grant Cardone. If you don't know who he is, he's a real estate guy. He's an investor, businessman. He's a billionaire, or he's extremely close to being a billionaire. But anyway, interesting guy. You can check him out. I don't agree 100% with his beliefs by any means, but when it comes to business and success, the guy knows what he is talking about. So here's a quote by him. He said, "If the people around you are giving you advice to slow down or to take it easy, you are surrounded by the wrong people." Another quote, he said, "You will not have a successful life surrounded by negative people." And lastly, he said, "As long as you are alive, you will either live to accomplish your own goals and dreams or be used as a resource to accomplish someone else's." So what is this escalator of success? And what does that have to do with those quotes? Well, I want you to think of an escalator, just the way that it works. If I stand on the escalator, so I take a step on the escalator and it takes me up, all I have to do is stand there. And as long as I don't move or go back down that escalator, if I just stand in one spot, it will take me up to the next level. Now, the next level in life, when it comes to success, meaning the next thing that I'm able to achieve, the next goal, the next level in my career, the next, income goal, whatever that is the next level. And in life, it is actually the opposite of an escalator. So an escalator, I get on and it moves me forward by default without me doing anything. You can coast. You can sit there. I have arrived and I will get to my destination regardless of whether I do anything or not. Whether I grow, whether I don't grow, as long as I stay where I'm at, as long as I stay constant and I don't move, I'll get to my goal. Well, that's not exactly the way success really works, though. It's actually getting on a down escalator and being forced to either walk, jog, run, or sprint up that escalator just to make progress. Now, if you were to hop into a rushing, a white water rapid river, it's hard to say. If you were to hop into that and, you have a raft strapped to, the side on each, strapped on the left, strapped on the right, and you hop in that raft and you loosen those cords and it's a rushing white water rapid river. Okay. Try to save that 5 times fast. White water rapid river. So you hop in that thing. Are you going to sit still? Are you going to be carried upstream or will you be carried downstream? 100 times out of 100, you will be carried downstream and you will be carried downstream quickly. This is how success really works. Every single thing that you ever set out to do, if you want to be successful in any given area, I do not care what it is, you will be fighting against things going backwards. You will be fighting against things getting worse. Things will not just stay the same. If they are left, there's a word called entropy. And basically entropy means things in a closed system means that they are not acted upon, they are unaffected by outside forces. If you just leave them to themselves, they will get worse. What happens to your house if you just don't clean it? It gets messier. What happens to your relationship if you don't try to better it? It gets worse. It's not going to stay the same when you go from dating to marriage and you're like, all right, I've arrived. It's not going to just continually get better and it's not going to stay where it was. It will get worse. What happens to your health if you're like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm never going to have any checks and balances. I'm never really going to weigh myself. I'm never going to go to the doctor. Hopefully I'll get better on my own. It's never going to happen. It will get worse over time. If you never budgeted money, you never looked at how you spent your money, and you never tried to earn any more, I guarantee you it will not get better by itself. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. We'll just see what happens. You're going to keep spending more money. Your budget's going to get smaller and smaller, and eventually you're going to be like, man, I've got no money left. Friendship. What if I just stop calling all my friends right now and I'm like, you know what? We've built a great relationship. You know what? I think we're good. And I just quit reaching out to them. I quit talking to them, quit calling them, texting them, grabbing coffee, seeing them at the gym, whatever. I quit reaching out to them. Is that relationship going to get stronger or weaker? Weaker. What if I go to the gym every single day, Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week? I'm in the gym. I'm working hard. I'm focused. I have goals. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I look good enough now. I feel good enough. I'm strong enough. I'm well-conditioned enough. I'm low enough body fat percentage. My doctor said things are good. I'm going to quit going to the gym. Now, follow-up question. Which one of the days that I went to the gym actually achieved that result? Which one of the days that I invested into my relationship with my spouse actually achieved the result that I want? Which one of the days that I worked on my finances, that I put a budget together, that I actually set a goal for savings, that I set a goal to grow investments, which one of those days actually got the result that I wanted? You can't take one of those days out, just like I can't rest on an escalator without immediately moving backwards. So there's going to be some things that you're going to have to change in your life if you want to be successful, because it's not a job. It's not a regular, man, I can sit here, I can coast. If you're not moving forward, you are moving backwards. You're ripening or rotting, you're growing or you're dying. So the first thing that you have to understand is that every action, again, I'm teaching the same type of content in a slightly different way than I did the last episode, because I want you to understand this. Because if you understand this, it will change everything else you do in your journey to success, and you will not have to be the 95% that do not reach their goals. You can actually do what you want with your life, like the 5%. So here we go. Every action moves me closer or further away from my goals. Every single action moves me toward or away. There's nothing neutral. There's nothing that is, people, I'm just going to be Switzerland on this one, meaning I'm not going to take a side. There's nothing in success that works that way. Everything is moving you towards or taking you away from. Well, Jesse, can you give me an example? Absolutely, I can. All right. So I have a goal to become financially free before the age of 30. I just turned 29. Today's June 21st. I just turned 29 on the 20th of June. That is my birthday, by the way. And it's happened every year since I've been born. Crazy. Continues to happen all the time. Have no clue when it's going to stop. But anyway, so my goal is to be completely financially free by the time I am 30. Now, by stating that, actually giving a date, June 19th, really, I would like to be free one day before so I can be 29 still when I'm financially free. That's the goal. So now, by stating that, disclaimer, I'm putting my butt on the line, so to speak. I'm putting myself out there by saying this is my goal and nothing else will do. So I'm putting myself on the line. Now, that being said, that goal has to have daily action, me working towards that every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then mentally, even though I take the day off, generally speaking, sometimes I'll still do some work, but I take the day off 99% of the time. Mentally, my head still has to be in the game on Sunday. I can't be like, you know what, I'm going to move my business forward, move this forward. I'm gonna reach for these goals and strive for this, and then Sunday comes and I'm just going to be a total 95%er. I'm just going to do things that I would never do normally and just totally just get my brain out of gear and let it coast down the hill. I cannot do that. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So I either move forward or I move away. This is called cause and effect. Everything I do has an effect. Every cause has an effect. If I reap something, then I must have sown something earlier. If I plant something, something's going to grow. If I choose not to plant something, something is going to grow. If I plant something and don't water it, don't fertilize it, so I give myself a good thought and then I never feed it again, guess what? That thought's going to get choked out and die. If I start a new habit one time, there's a cause, there's an effect, I feel good about it. For the next day, I don't do it ever again. There is no reward at the end of that rainbow, folks. I've got to do something every single day because, again, success is an escalator and it's constantly moving down, and you have to be moving, running, pushing against it if you want to make progress. So every action moves me closer or further away. Every input moves me closer or further away. You're not going to go listen to a bunch of great content, read audiobooks, listen to, motivational, educational talks that are in your field, helping you get better and grow, and then you go home and watch 4 hours of Netflix. You don't think that's going to balance out in a negative way? That's like having 6 donuts with your lunch. I'm going to go grab a Baconator, and you know what? I'm going to drop by Krispy Kreme, have 6 donuts and an ice cream. But you know what? It's going to be fine because I'm going to go to the gym later, and I'm going to have a salad for dinner. Bro, you had 6 donuts, ice cream, and a Baconator. Well, that's an extreme example. Well, your brain's kind of the same way. I'm going to fill it with trash, and then I'm going to try to read some positive books. I'm going to try to read some articles in areas that'll grow me. I'm going to try to give myself good information, and then hopefully man, I really want to move forward. You just stopped running on the escalator. I was moving forward. I was doing the right thing. Now, this gets into an entirely different talk, which I may actually give in the next episode number 27, results versus action and the scoreboard, how you can really understand if you're doing just actions or if you're really focused on getting results. I'll talk about that in the next episode, but totally different topic. But here's the deal. If I quit moving forward, I am by default moving backwards because it is an escalator. I either go up or I go down. So if I put in good things and then I put in bad things, there's nothing neutral. If I put in junk and I put in good things, either I better be carefully measuring that, or here's an idea. Why don't I just put in all good things? If you were trying to lose weight, now we're talking about your mind, but if you were trying to lose weight, your goal is to go from, let's say, 210 down to 195. So you want to cut 15 pounds. I can do that super, super fast by eating only healthy foods in the right macronutrients, in the proper balance of carbs, proteins, fats. I can make sure that I'm getting just the right amount of calories. I can make sure that my sleep is good. I can make sure that I'm intaking enough water. I can make sure that my workouts are not only stressing my body enough, but not stressing me too much. I can work on my recovery. I can do all kinds of supplementation. I can do all this different stuff to cut weight, to make sure that I hit my goal. I maintain a certain muscle mass. I can do all the right things, or I can do 90% of the right things and eat total garbage the other 10% of the time. And then I'm like, I don't know why I'm not moving forward as fast. And this is what most people do. Escalator. I'm either moving forward or I'm moving backwards. Oh man, I'm going to listen to it, man. I love this podcast. I love that podcast. I love this audiobook, that audio. And then I'm going to get home and I'm going to watch the news for 3 hours just to find out what's going on in real life. I'm going to go home and I'm going to do this. I'm going to scroll social. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to hang out with the most negative friend that I have. But man, I listened to 3 hours of great information today. I'm moving forward. No. You just ate garbage mentally. Good in equals good out. G-I-G-O. Garbage in, garbage out. Good in, good out. Next thing, every relationship you have either moves you forward or backwards. What did Grant Cardone say? You will not have a successful life surrounded by negative people. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to have an exceptional life with average habits, period. You're not going to have exceptional wealth, above average wealth with average financial habits. You're not going to have an exceptional physique with average habits, period. You're not going to have a great marriage with great results with average inputs, okay? So every relationship is going to move me towards or away from my goal. Well, does that mean that I have to cut out some of my friends? Yes. Yes, it does. When I was at a point where I truly wanted to be financially free, this was years ago, and my friend circle was actually pretty much completely different than it is today. And I mean almost entirely different. But the first time I really got the dream to be financially free, I told my dad, I said I would be willing to cut out now I hadn't met my wife yet. I hadn't met pretty much any of my closest friends yet, or if I had met them, we barely knew each other. They were just kind of acquaintances at the time. But I told my dad, I said I would be willing to cut out every single relationship that I have right now. Every single relationship. And I love some of my friends. I really do. But I said I would be willing to cut out everything and everyone if it meant that I was able. I'm not talking about family, but just the friends that I surrounded myself with at the time. I'd be willing to cut them all out if it meant that I could achieve financial freedom. If it meant that I could truly live financially free, where time and money were no worry anymore, where I could do what I wanted, when I could have the impact, when I could have the influence, when I could change the lives that I wanted. I was that hungry. You're going to have to cut some things out. And if you're listening to this and you knew me during that season of my life, I'm so offended by that. But let me ask you this. Do you have goals, and what would you be willing to do to get there? I'm not trying to be harsh, but man, if you've got friends that are pulling you down, if they're encouraging you to stay mediocre, if they're telling you to slow down, don't work so hard, take it easy, man, you got to relax more, you take more time off, and they don't have the results you want, that's not someone you want to listen to. You've got to be willing to understand that every action, every input, every relationship, and every single day, what you do every single day will move you forward or move you backward. There is no neutral. All right, so here are a few tips for you to actually understand how to apply this, how to take this idea of a down escalator and you're standing at the bottom of it trying to walk, jog, run, sprint, do whatever you can to get up that thing because your goal is at the top. And guess what? When you get to that level, there's going to be another goal that you get to hop on another escalator, moving down, moving against you with a current that is pushing against you every single day. And you will have to choose, am I going to get on this one and walk, jog, run, sprint, do whatever I have to get to the next level, or am I going to sit this one out and say, you know what, I've arrived, I've done enough, because that is another enemy that will come your way in the escalator of success is complacency. I'm already above average. I've already done more than this person. I've already achieved, and I'm not saying this is about me. I'm saying this is when you accomplish something, and you're like, oh, I've already done this and this and this and this and this, and people are already patting me on the back. Man, I've probably done enough. I can quit now, right? No. Grant Cardone had another quote. I could not find it. I used to have it taped to the wall of my office. A little side note here, in the last house that my wife and I lived in, the office literally looked like an FBI crime scene. Like, you know, where they have like the tack and all the different strings, you know, and this picture of this guy in this newspaper article, and they're trying to piece this case together. That is pretty much what my office looked like because I had so many quotes stuck all over the place in my office. And one of those quotes was by Grant Cardone, and he said something along the lines of this. Basically, your decision to chase or not to chase, to pursue or not to pursue your dreams does not just cost you something. So if I don't chase and achieve my dreams, that's not just costing me something. That's costing possibly hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people. That's costing them something if I don't pursue my dreams. So let me ask you this. Who is the person that it will cost the most for you not to pursue your dreams? Will that be your family? Will that be one of your friends? Will that be someone that you don't even know that needs you to grow, to get better, to reach, to strive, to achieve more today, to become a different person because they're going to need you? I had something written on my wall. I had a giant poster card type board, and it was written right where I read every single night. It was, you know, if I'm reading, it's right off to my left-hand side, pretty much like at level with my eyes, and I would turn and I would look at that every single night, and one of the quotes that I had written there is that someday, it might be 6 months from now, it might be 10 years from now, but you're going to be in such and such place, and there's going to be someone in that place, in that meeting, the person that you will meet then that needs you to read, to grow tonight. Because again, this is the spot where I read every single night. They need you to do what you're doing tonight, to grow yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever I was reading in that night. They need you to grow today because they're going to need what you're learning tonight 10 years from now, even though you don't know them now, even though you would never meet them if you quit your journey on your way to your goals, even if you never chased your dreams, you never became the person that you needed to be to meet them, to help them, they still needed you. And I would look at that all the time and think, man, I've got to grow today. I've got to read. I've got to get better. I've got to move forward. I've got to work on achieving more because there's a person that I need to become between the bottom of the escalator and the top of this escalator. There's going to be more, but there's a person that I need to become. And I get so passionate about this because so many people live comfortable, mediocre lives. And I'm not saying that as a slam, but they live these lives where all they're focused on is their own comfort. Man, how comfortable can I be? How easy can I make my life? How little effort can I exert from Monday through Friday just to make it to the weekend? There are people that need you to grow. Your children, if you have kids, need you to grow. Your spouse, your significant other, your family, your parents, your siblings, people you don't even know yet need you to grow because the person that you will become from the bottom of the escalator all the way to what it's going to take you to get to the top. There will be people that you will meet that will need that journey. They will need the wisdom that you'll gain. They will need the hard lessons you've learned. They'll need the things that you had to overcome to get there to help them with something. But if you're unwilling to be uncomfortable, they're going to pay for it. It's not just you that pays a price when you do not chase your dreams. So what are some tips to help me move up the escalator of success rather than going down? Because again, there is no standing still. Did I mention that? There's no standing still, period. Nothing is neutral. I want you guys to get that because this is such an important concept. So here are a few tips. Remove negative inputs. This might be talk radio. Oh, but I love talk radio. Well, is it helping? Is it, oh man, if I had to check a box, if I had to put a plus or minus by this habit, which I've talked about before from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, If I had to write this down and say, is it moving me forward or taking me away from, well, it's neutral. No. Is it moving you forward? I don't even have to put the or in there. Is it moving you forward? Yes or no? If it's a no, which talk radio, I promise you, is not moving forward towards your goals unless your goal is to become a talk radio host, in which case, knock yourself out, listen to as much as you can find. But talk radio, and I should probably cut, if I want to become successful, that is a negative input. People celebrating mediocrity, the talk show hosts literally talk about nothing productive. It's just telling jokes. Well, I enjoy it. Okay, do you enjoy it more than your goals? Talk radio, you might have to cut it out. Depressing music. I used to. I'd be like, you know what? I'm feeling kind of down today. I should listen to some old music that reminds me of old friendships that I don't have anymore. I should listen to some old music, and I would start looking in the rearview mirror of my life like, man, those were the good times. I wish I could go back there. I wish I could have that summer. And like, not in a healthy, like, oh, those were great memories. No. I would listen to depressing music because it would put me in a state where I'm like, oh, I miss those people. I miss that season. I miss that. I miss a time in my life that I can never go back to. Is that going to help me move forward towards my goal? Nope. So if you're listening to stuff and it's not making you feel positive, optimistic, goal-oriented, like, man, I can do this. If it's not filling you with belief, confidence, enthusiasm, and just a desire to move forward, it's probably something you need to cut out. Oh, but Jesse, you don't understand. I love music. Look, you're barking up the wrong tree. I played tons of different instruments. I've sang since I was a kid. I love music probably more than just about anyone you will meet or talk to. I love music. I used to love going to concerts. I used to listen, like my goal when we were on vacation as a kid, I'm like, how many CDs can I listen to? I was goal-oriented then. I think one day I listened to like literally a dozen CDs on a drive home from Kansas to Ohio. Like I love music. But you know what? If it's not going to move me forward, I might have to change what I listen to. The news, well, I got to find out what's going on in the real world. Really? So because a guy murdered a family in Florida, that affects your life and you live in Connecticut. No. That's literally just going to bring you down. Putting garbage in your brain is going to bring you down. Okay, what about this? Trash reading. You're out there reading 50 Shades of Grey. Garbage. You're reading murder mystery stuff. Garbage. You're reading, oh, well, I like to read romance novels, really, because those books make you fantasize about whether it's good, bad, and different, whether it's something that, like, you'd be ashamed to be found reading, or it's something that is just not moving you forward. Those things make you focus on someone else's life, on a false reality, versus learning to read and grow yourself. How about a marriage book? How about a finance book? How about a mindset book? How about a book on communication? How about a book on business? How about a book on... There's books, I'm reading a book right now about reading. Well, that sounds super lame. Why would you do, you know what? If I can look back on that book and be like, I got one nugget from that book. I actually talked to a friend, and he talked about it in one of his podcast episodes. If you're reading, and he named a number of books, if you're reading this number of books right now, every year, you're an idiot. I'm like, because one of my personal mentors, guy's worth $100 million, was mentoring with a guy who actually went on to become a billionaire years and years and years later in his life, but they were mentoring together, and his mentor looks at him, and he was asking him about books, and the guy looks at him and says, oh, I don't read books anymore, I write them. Now, the dude was pretty successful, but he's like, that was the last time I mentored with that guy. You know what? Because he was done growing intentionally. Did he continue to get wealthier? Yes, he had rolled the snowball to a point where it would have been hard to stop. He had so much positive compound interest working for him, but he had quit growing intentionally. He had quit reading. So you've got to be filling your mind with positive inputs. Social media, is that helping you move forward? We don't even have to have that conversation. I don't care if you follow Tony Robbins and all these different people. Man, you don't understand. Brennan Burchard, he's my guy. I listen to his stuff. It's not moving you forward. Looking at pictures of people's cats and their vacation, and you're like, oh, that'd be so great. I can't afford to take a vacation right now. I'm such a loser. I wish I had the money that, look, they probably financed it. It's probably not what you think it is. They're perfect relationship, and they go home and fight behind closed doors, and they're stressed out about the fact that they can barely afford their car payment. You're like, oh, their vehicle's so nice, and their vacation was so nice, and they had a conversation like, look, we can't take another vacation for the next 4 years. We got to put the kids through college. We're strapped. Our retirement fund, I just lost 18%, and you're like, man, it'd be great to have their life. It's not moving you forward. It is not moving you forward. People who love mediocrity. This one's tough. I heard a guy say the other day, he said, I was raised by a bunch of kind, caring, loving, give you the shirt off their back, just, love the Lord, blah, 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 negative, broke people. And he's like, they were awesome people. He's like, they were wonderful, loving, great people. But they were negative. They always looked for what's wrong. They always focused on problems instead of solutions. They always focused on why they couldn't instead of why they could. They always looked at, I don't think this will work because of, versus, man, no, I think you can do this. You've got to learn to cut some things out. You've got to replace those things with listening to positive stuff, reading positive stuff, listening to stuff that gets you in a good mood. There is music that can put you in a better mood. If you're like, you know what, I'm burnt out, I've listened to 5 hours of information today, which I've had days where I've listened to literally 12 hours of content because I was driving, I had the time. Well, that's a little bit fanatical. Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. And being average, working 45 to 50 years and dying broke is more fanatical to me. So I'm going to be fanatical with 12 hours of content because I can grow myself. Not watching the news. I have not regularly watched the news. I pull stuff up from time to time like, oh, this looks interesting, and I'll watch it. But there are some things. Just the other night, I'm driving down the road with my wife, and she's like, hey, can you pause it? And she brought up this question right here. Basically, in so many words, in her nice, laid-back way, she's like, is this really something that's going to move us forward? And I'm like, you know what? I enjoy listening to it, but guess what? I'm like, she's probably right. I think I watched like another 2 minutes, and then I shut it off. Because I realized, like, okay, yes, this is something that I enjoy. I personally have a preference that I'm like, oh, I enjoy this because it's updating me on something that I find interesting, but is it moving me personally forward? No. Cut it out. Thinking of Joey from Full House. Cut it out. Anyway, okay. Trash TV. Does anything else need to be said? What do you do with trash? You take it out. So get rid of it. Trash reading. Take it out. You shouldn't be doing it anyway. If you're going to bed and you're like, you just read Dean Koontz and you're like just falling asleep, like fearful, like someone's going to come axe murder me in my, like, that's probably not, because guess what? Your brain, whatever you put in your head last, have you ever watched something and then that person on TV was in your dream? Or you texted someone, they popped up in your dream, or something you had just talked about, and you wake up and you tell your spouse or your friend, your coworker, you're like, man, guess what happened? I watched such and such movie last night, and Mel Gibson was in my dream. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah, your brain plays all night what you fed it last. So feed it something positive. Focus on your goals. Listen to an affirmation. Like, there's all kinds of stuff. Oh, that's weird. That's woo-woo. Guess what? It's not average, and it's going to move you forward. Do something that when your brain's playing it all night, it's helping you. Social media, cut it out or limit your time vastly and replace it with something else. You can replace that time with reading. People who love mediocrity, replace that with people that are encouraging, people that want to help you move forward towards your goals. Cut them out. Not like, it doesn't have to be a conversation like, hey, look, I'm not going to hang out with you anymore because I don't want to be a loser. That's the wrong way to do this. Okay, that is terrible. That person may need you and you may love that person to death. When I say cut them out, I just mean like they shouldn't be your main squeeze anymore. If you're hanging out with the guy 7 days a week whose only hobby is, collecting silver, he drinks a 6-pack of silver bullets, that's his only hobby, and you want to move forward, and that guy's got a terrible marriage, he's been divorced 4 times, he's flat broke, he lives in a trailer that he borrowed from his friend that he couldn't even afford to pay for, and he borrows someone else's vehicle or rides a bicycle to work, that's probably not the guy that you should be spending a lot of time around, okay? So you don't have to talk to these people and have a relationship, have a conversation with them that says, hey, look, man, you're this. You don't have to do that. Just hang out with them a little less and replace that with a positive association. Set goals and look at them daily. Set goals and look at them every single day because you've got to be moving forward. Write them out every day. Visualize what would it be like to have that, be that, do that every single day. Track your progress. I'll talk about this more in the next episode. I almost said tomorrow, but I'm not recording it tomorrow. I'll talk about this more in episode 27, where I'm going to talk about results versus activity and the scoreboard. Learn that you must deal with reality, but live in your dreams every single day. These are tips. Learn that you've got to deal with reality. I've got to acknowledge and take care of what's going on now, but I need to live in my dreams in the future, meaning where am I going versus where am I at versus where am I been. Focus on the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror because I want to focus on where I'm going, not where I have been. And lastly, you've got to understand everything matters. There is no coasting. Will you choose to walk, jog, run, sprint up the elevator of success, or will you hop on and stand there and get moved backwards, back to average over and over and over and over again? The beauty is the choice is yours, and you get to make that choice every moment, every day with everything you do.